Dr. Anthony Fauci, the nation's top expert on infectious disease, on Friday, rejected a conspiracy theory that the novel coronavirus escaped a Chinese lab.
A group of highly qualified evolutionary virologists looked at the sequences in bats as they evolve. The mutations that it took to get to the point where it is now is totally consistent with a jump of a species from an animal to a human, Fauci said at the daily White House press briefing in response to a question from a reporter on the theory, which has been pushed by President Donald Trump's allies in recent days.
The precise origins of the novel coronavirus, which is officially known as SARS-CoV-2 and causes the disease COVID-19, remain somewhat of a mystery. But, as Fauci underscored in his remarks on Friday, studies of the virus genome have strongly indicated that it was transmitted from an animal to a human.
We do not believe that any type of laboratory-based scenario is plausible, an analysis published in Nature Medicine in mid-March said. The study, led by computational biologist Christian Anderson of the Scripps Research Institute in California, compared COVID-19 to the 6 other coronaviruses known to infect humans. The analysis explicitly states that the evidence shows SARS-CoV-2 is not a purposefully manipulated virus.
But as research on the origins of the novel coronavirus continues, some in the Trump administration, including the president, are seemingly still open to the possibility it escaped from a Chinese lab.
More and more, we're hearing the story, and we'll see, Trump said on Thursday.
On Friday, when asked how active the investigation was into whether the virus escaped a lab in Wuhan, China, Trump said, "We are looking at it. A lot of people are looking at it. It seems to make sense. We are going to find out.
A lot of strange things are happening. We're going to find out," Trump added.
But the U.S. intelligence community has looked into the theory for months and hasn't found hard evidence to back it up, according to a report from Politico, which cited multiple sources familiar with the matter. An administration official told Politico, "There's no consensus."
Meanwhile, Fox News, the president's preferred TV network, has been pushing the lab narrative hard over the past week. Sources believe coronavirus outbreak originated in Wuhan lab as part of China's efforts to compete with U.S., a report published on Wednesday and co-authored by Fox News anchor Bret Baier said.
Along these lines, Trump's advisors and congressional allies have been hammering China in recent days, excoriating the Chinese government over its lack of transparency in relation to coronavirus.
GOP Senator Tom Cotton of Arkansas on Wednesday told Sean Hannity of Fox News that China must be made to pay the price if it's determined the virus came out of a Wuhan lab.
Similarly, Secretary of State Mike Pompeo on Wednesday told Fox News, "We really need the Chinese government to open up. They say they want to cooperate. One of the best ways they could find to cooperate would be to let the world in, to let the world's scientists know exactly how this came to be, exactly how this virus began to spread."
Trump on Friday also expressed skepticism over the Chinese government's official death toll from the novel coronavirus, which originated in Wuhan, China. Based on the available data, the U.S. is the epicenter of the coronavirus pandemic, with the highest number of reported cases and confirmed deaths. But Trump dismissed those numbers.
"We don't have the most in the world deaths. The most in the world has to be China. It is a massive country, they must have the most," Trump said during Friday's press briefing.
As of Friday evening, there were nearly 700,000 reported cases of coronavirus in the U.S., and over 36,000 confirmed deaths, according to data from Johns Hopkins University. Comparatively, the data said China has seen nearly 84,000 cases and over 4,600 deaths.
Beyond Trump, there's been widespread skepticism across the international community over China's official numbers, but the Chinese government has rejected allegations of a cover-up.
Amid the increased focus on China, the Trump administration continues to face strong criticism from Democratic lawmakers and public health experts over its handling of the coronavirus pandemic. Trump spent weeks downplaying the threat of the virus on top of early stumbles at the federal level that left the U.S. behind much of the world on testing for the virus.
Some Democrats and former U.S. officials have accused Trump of using China, and more recently the World Health Organization, WHO, as a scapegoat to deflect from his own failures in handling coronavirus. The president earlier this week announced a plan to cut funding to the WHO, criticizing the agency for praising China's transparency in the early days of the outbreak. But Trump was also praising China in this regard around the same time and continued to applaud its handling of the crisis well into February as the virus was spreading in the U.S.
Trump has pushed back hard on any criticism of his response and berated reporters who've questioned him about the testing shortages in the U.S.
Vice President Mike Pence and other officials on the coronavirus task force on Friday said that the capacity of testing for coronavirus in the U.S. has increased to a point where governors can initiate the first of 3 phases that are part of the administration's guidelines on easing social distancing and reopening the economy. But earlier on Friday, New York Governor Andrew Cuomo emphasized that his state, which has been hit the hardest by the novel coronavirus, still needs help from the federal government with testing. On Monday, Trump falsely claimed he had total authority to force governors to end coronavirus restrictions in order to restart the economy, but he backtracked by Thursday and said he would leave such decisions up to the states.
By Friday, however, Trump was on Twitter encouraging residents of Virginia and Michigan to liberate their states, which came as some states have seen protests against stay-at-home orders.
When asked about this at Friday's press briefing, Trump said he did not think his tweets were at odds with the administration's measured guidance for easing restrictions that leaves the timeline up to governors.